just a very beautiful, short lesson. And again, these short ones, these very succinct, short ones, carry the entire essence of A Course in Miracles in them, where it says, Father, it is today that I am free. The Course is always trying to remind you it's not somewhere off in the future for you to find salvation. It's not somewhere off in the future for you to find the answers to your problems. It's not somewhere off in the future where you can be truly helpful. Right now, today is your holy instant of release. The answers that you're searching for are here now. You know, that's one of the things we're going to talk about at our conference coming up in August. It's called The Light Has Come. It's not the light will come. It says the light has come. You know, it's right here, right now. That's I think I was mentioning a couple of weeks ago that Ken Wilber, was kind of a thinker of our time, came up and divided our all spiritual teachings into two camps, the always already or the paths of attainment. The paths of attainment are ones that say we're not quite there, we're not whole and complete yet, we have to search for something to complete us. And those are much more the Christian paths, whereas the always already paths are saying we are always already whole, healed, and complete. And that's what the path of A Course in Miracles is, telling us always that you have everything within you now. Now, we do have a lot of things that seem to block us from that awareness. We have, and those things such as fear, guilt, shame, judgment, anger, and attack, those are biggies. And those block us from the awareness of this always, already truth. So it says, here's another affirmation of that. Father, it is today that I am free. Hi, Marilyn. Because, why? Because my will is yours. I am always, already one with God. And because my will is yours, I am free today, right here, right now. It says, I thought to make another will. And that's kind of where our problem is that we think there can be something opposite to completion, which by its very nature says it can't be incomplete, right? If it is complete, it cannot be made incomplete. So it says, I thought to make something separate out of something that was all-encompassing, which cannot really happen. I thought to make another will. It says, yet nothing that I thought apart from you exists, and I am free because I was mistaken and did not affect my own reality at all by my illusions. That's what I love about this. So it's telling you, I know you made mistakes. I know you think you can be separate from your reality. I know you think you can be separate from what is all complete, the whole piece of pie, that in some way the whole cannot be complete. It says, I know you think that, but the fact is that's just a mistaken thought and cannot change your reality in any way. And that's what's so powerful about this. So powerful about this. And it's kind of like what I was talking about a few weeks ago when we were talking about the Dalai Lama. Remember my story about a man who he was going to have the Dalai Lama come and speak, and he had kind of a think tank. He ran a right-wing think tank. And he was going to have the Dalai Lama come and speak, but he'd gone there to visit him in his own habitat, basically. And he was meditating with the monks there, and if you remember the story, he started to growl. His stomach was hungry, and he was meditating. And he thought, this is very unholy for me to be hungry when I'm meditating. I should deny this feeling that I have and just meditate, because I shouldn't acknowledge that. And he said it was hard for him to acknowledge that because he kept thinking how hungry he was. And he said, finally, I opened my eyes and this basket of bread was going by, and each monk was taking out a piece of bread. And he said, so I took out a piece of bread and passed it on. He said, then next came the peanut butter in the jar with the knife. And he says, everybody was slopping it on their bread and eating it. So I slopped it on my bread and passed it on. He said, in quiet, we all ate and our stomachs were filled, and then we went back to meditating. And he said, in that moment, he said, the whole message of the Dalai Lama was incorporated. He said, higher consciousness with utter practicality. And I so liked that little synopsis that he came up with, because that's exactly what A Course in Miracles is. Higher consciousness with utter practicality. And that's what this lesson is about. It's higher consciousness, always keeping your mind focused on, right now, I can experience the will of God. And also recognizing that it is my mistaken thoughts that have seemed to separate me, but they really didn't affect me at all. Because where we live, 99% of the time, well, maybe not 99 anymore, maybe 80, maybe 75, you decide where you are, is in those mistaken thoughts. We live a lot in those mistaken thoughts throughout the day.
Snow.
But yeah, but
44.
even 25% of the time in this higher consciousness can be a huge shift in our perception. Can you imagine that? The things that we think now that maybe we didn't used to think. I know me. I mean, I am much more aware when I choose to stay in my anger and my judgments than I ever have been before. So there's been a big shift inside of me in compassion for my fellow mankind, but also great compassion for myself when I make those mistakes, because you're the hardest one on yourself. Nobody else is as hard as you are on you. And so to be able to lift that, because that's what these lessons are about. If you notice, these lessons are all about I, right? Not a lot of we's in there. It's always about I, because it knows you need to be released from so much guilt and judgment that you have placed upon yourself. No one can burden you like you, right? No one can beat you up like you. You know, I mean, you're so tough on yourself. And that's why it says, I'm free because it's God's will that I be free. That's what we need to focus on. I thought I could do something beyond his will, that I could make another will. It says it's impossible. Nothing that I thought apart from God, here's why it's impossible. This is the line. Nothing I thought apart from God exists. So do you think God's saying, oh, Beverly, you talk too much, you're a big mouth, you shut up? I don't think so. Well, he might be. I don't know. I haven't talked to him lately. No, I'm just, sometimes. But think what we think about ourselves. And think, is God thinking that? Or think what we think about ourselves, or we don't think about ourselves, that God probably is thinking about us. That we're his holy child in whom he's well pleased. How often do we say that to ourselves? I'm God's holy child in whom he's well pleased. I am God's holiness. How often do we say that to ourselves? How often do we affirm those thoughts that the Course asks us to do so much? Light and joy and peace abide in me. My sinlessness is guaranteed by God. That is our reality. We don't spend a lot of time dwelling in that. We spend a lot of time dwelling in I'm too fat, I'm too lazy, I'm too busy, I'm too work-oriented, you know, I'm too tired. I'm too tired to think about that. You know, all these things that we do, and yet God is thinking this wonderful truth about you. That's what we need to get in the program with. We need to get with the program of those thoughts.